Welcome everyone. It's also already 3 o'clock, so that marks the start of today's session. And a lot of people are starting to drop in. So while everyone is doing so, we wanted to share an interesting recent news article with you again to kind of keep you up to speed on everything that's going on. And this one was pretty interesting since Amazon has rolled out a new AI-powered image generation tool that really helps advertisers to deliver a better ad experience for their customers. So what they did, they recently did a survey where they found that among all the advertisers on Amazon, lots of them weren't able to really build those successful ad campaigns. And about 75% of those people who weren't able to do so really said that it was due to challenges they had with building and choosing the right creative formats. So Amazon thought of a solution for that, and they launched a beta version of their image generation tool, which really helps to remove creative barriers for people and enable really brands to create imagery that is very lively and really suits the brand. So for example, when you're selling toasters and you only have a picture with a toaster with a blank background, you want to have it more engaging. So for example, you can put it in the tool and make sure there's a background of a kitchen counter of some bread that you just toasted. It can be very easily done within the tool. And it also was found that about 40% higher click-through rates will be there when the imagery is much more creative. They just say it will help not just the bigger brands, but also small companies. Since for small companies, they have no in-house capabilities to do it themselves, so they can assist those small companies with that. But also for big companies who just strive for efficiency and also really want to help that. So I think it's a nice solution for both small and big companies. And this is also about how to create efficient ways of working and how to make the best of your internal processes. I think it perfectly aligns with the topic of today's session as well. I think lots of people are still dropping in, but let's get started right away because we have a very busy and exciting schedule. So that's why I also want to welcome you to today's session. My name is Jill. I'm from Customer Journey Experts, and I will be the moderator during today's session. So for today, we have a very exciting agenda planned out. We have lots of different guest speakers, lots of different guest speakers from different countries who are going to tell their story related to the topic of today, which is holistic experiences, holistic ways of working to enhance customer experiences. So it's a busy schedule, but I think all very exciting. During the session, if you have any questions for the guest speakers, just shoot and post them in the chat. We will be happy to answer them after the presentations, as there will be set moments for Q&A. But if we don't have time during the session to answer your questions, we will make sure to answer them after the session or within the SharePoint portal. So without further ado, I want to pass the floor to Arjen from Customer Journey Experts, who will give an introduction to the topic.
Yes, thank you, Jill. Very nice to be here. Very nice to see all the participants and the lineup of speakers. As Jill mentioned, we're going to talk about holistic ways of working to enhance customer experiences and business performance. And this is actually about a fundamental transformation. And transformations, especially technology transformation and organization transformations, are used to fail by 70%. And that was all our research. Recent research shows that still 76% of leaders have experienced failures of organizational transformation. That is, and there people know why. People know why all these transformations failed. That is because of too little cross-team collaboration. 32% of the respondents of this research said that it is critical to improve that, and 48% says that it is, well, very important to have that cross-department collaboration. And that is especially true if you look at the enormous investments that generative AI that will cause all this transformation is predicted to have. What you see here is the total stat of 70% of the total IT investments by 2033 will be generative AI related investments. So there is a huge spend going on in this area that's causing all this transformation, and actually that spend is bringing us to the individual age. And in the individual age, technology will enable individual customer interaction. But that requires that organizations do change, or at least adopt all these developments in order to be successful and not waste all that money that you've seen on a couple of slides back. The individual age is about creating holistic interactions. That means that every customer at every point in their interaction process needs to get a personalized experience. That has to be driven by business rules. That cannot be manhandled. That has to be systematic. That has to be a process of content distribution managed by business rules. But creating those experiences is always limited by, well, the typical silo structures of organizations. And what we've seen in the data before is that so far we haven't been able to turn that development around. So I think it's an illusion that we're going to get rid of those silos. So there has to be another way to work along that and to enable a holistic approach. And that means that customer centricity needs really to get embraced within the entire organization. That means that every interaction needs to be designed from the customer perspective. And if you look at individual customer interaction, there's a lot of aspects that come to play. You have to be able to identify the impact on your customers and the way it creates value. Not only monetary value, but also in terms of relationship strength. And that starts with ID and privacy. Without having the consent of people to use their data, you're not even allowed to personalize the interaction. It means that you have to make sure that their privacy is guaranteed and that it is really endorsed by everybody in your organization, that everybody in your organization understands the value of customer data and the way you have to handle it, how careful you have to handle it, and how much of a joy is it that active customers are willing to share their data with you. And if you start doing individual customer interaction, it means you will see an explosion of the amount of content you have to create. Not only the content, but also the business rules to target that content at the right moment to the right customer, in the right device, in the right setting. So it is about understanding what customers are coming for, what device they are using in order to create seamless and holistic experiences. That requires a very different way of organizing that process, because who then is the boss of all those business rules? How do you structure and manage all that content you have to create? How do you manage the effectiveness of the business rules you use? And of course, your IT and data intelligence infrastructure helps with that, but that has to be part of the entire organization. Everybody in the organization not only uses data, but also enriches data and gives it back to the system. So that has to be a very conscious process, and it has to be embedded in the mentality of your organization. It also directly affects your proposition and your business model. Because if you start building relationships with customers and those relationships get more profound, then you will see that there are new opportunities to make money from that you can have subscription models. And if you look at Amazon and look at the way they pivot a business model, develop new services, that is what intelligent customer interaction is about. So it changes your proposition, the kind of relationship you have with customers, and it also changes the way you earn your money and what aspects that are relevant in that matter. And if data is becoming the core of your business, then it suddenly becomes very important who you cooperate with, either working with platforms and make sure that you get the customer data from them, or not get dependent on the way they treat your customer data, or get you out of the play for that respect, but also how you can be a platform yourself or adopt a platform strategy. It is about what your place in the value chain is, and how you're going to be relevant, not only tomorrow, but also in the near future. The gear wheel is a methodical approach to design holistic experiences. And that requires that it's not done by a UX department or a CXer. It requires that everybody, every relevant department is involved in creating customer interactions, as soon as it also affects their business. Because if they're not involved, they will not create what it takes to make that interaction work. So that doesn't matter if it is about designing your entire core interaction process, or making more segment-specific interactions, or just creating features and functionalities. It has to be a collaborative process, a holistic approach with all departments involved. And it's not only about designing the journeys. If data, and we're living in a data-driven era, then monitoring how that has impact requires different KPIs than the traditional sales-based KPIs. Then you need other indicators like personal data completeness, or lifetime value, or interaction frequency, because without interaction frequency, you haven't got the ability to influence behavior. If you don't have the right personal data, you even can't access people, or can't determine how you can influence their behavior. And customer engagement is not NPS. Customer engagement are values that you can monitor on an individual customer level. So that individual customer level registration also enables you to create a scorecard for a customer that shows what the level of completeness of data is that you have of that customer, what their lifetime value is. Those are the top line, the two top line values, but also what the interaction frequency is and what their current revenue is. The beauty of having it on an individual customer level is that you also can make the account on what it does on a top level. And then these values also turn out to be management KPIs that you can manage and that you can use to create focus in your organization on where do we have to, what do we have to improve, and where do we have to improve. That requires that you have a structure to account these values, and that's based on using your existing data. You already have many data points to account those top line values. And just for example, and if you want to know more about this model, please reach out after this session, or directly through my contact details. But if you look at how you account this personal data completeness value, then well, you need to have data. Data that is required to be able to contact you. And there's one to have data that you know what you're going to use it for, and well, have a very legitimate reason to acquire it and to look after it. And there's also this 5% valued data, and that's what all marketeers like. Nice to have data I'm probably ever going to use. That's very interesting and so inspiring. But actually, according to GDPR, you're not even allowed to capture it if you don't have a real destination or a real objective for it. So this percentage determines this overall level, and that works with all, and that's based upon the underlying data you are already collecting some way or another. Having these data points enables you also to monitor the performance. And if you can monitor it, you can also create targets on it. And those targets can also be translated to targets on an individual customer level. So if that customer arrives at your environment, you can then, based on these kind of indicators, determine whether you push on acquiring more data or having that sale or building on engagement. So it's away from just those financial and conversion parameters. It adds a holistic depth to the image of the customer. This doesn't happen overnight. This is a step-by-step process where you start designing interactions, and based on the best guess, you build up to, okay, we see what the effectiveness is. We learn and well, continue or throw it away, and we get better in educating the estimates. We get better in well, actually calculating the value potential, and and then you're on your way to build that customer value dashboard and actually in the end create a very personalized experience with our customers. Both the design and the way you design functionalities and the way you account the value they create are crucial in a holistic way of working and on a holistic focus of organizations. Today is an interesting session because all the next speakers are going to tell you their stories about how they work on this with their respective clients, or as Rome as a client itself or a company itself is on this way to discover how this works. And that's the fascinating bit of today, but also of the developments we are in. This is a exploration. We're in the lucky stage that we're witnessing one of the major revolutions in the online history, and we're here to exchange experiences. I'm looking very much forward to the presentations of all the others, and with having said that, I want to hand over to you, Jill.
Yes, thanks a lot, Arjen, and thanks for your elaborate introduction. I think I couldn't agree more with your excitement for today's session. I think we have some great speakers lined up, and I'm excited to hear from them. So let's start with the first one. Here's Shabril from Data Solution, the e-commerce agency, and he will present how they view the topic of holistic ways of working, and also explain how they helped Au Forum de Bâtiment, which is a French distributor of building materials. So take it away, Cyril.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Jay, for the introduction. I'm really happy to share with you today some of our thoughts and insights on customer examples. As a B2B and PIM experts in France, we have a lot of feedbacks to share. I will first share with you something you may all know. And as you know, customer expectations in B2B are really increasing. And there's a real explanation is that now we can see digital natives are really in the lead for purchasing, for IT, for everything. So they expect similar digital experience while for their work for B2B as they have in B2C their own digital experience. So this is a fact. And another fact is that all of you, or most companies, are moving to implement digital platforms, B2B digital platforms, call it portals, call it whatever, e-commerce platforms. Anyway, there's a strong move on that. And I think if all of you are here, there's a reason. But saying that, also is that, and Arjen took a small discussion on that, is that there's some internal challenge. And of course, you can see some of the main internal challenges that have been raised. One is totally technical, it's integration, all this IT. This is not my point today. My point is about number 4 and number 3 is all about the organization, all about what can I do with that, with this new challenge. So, as I said, and as we can now see in France, or at least at Data Solutions, is that basically improving your customer experience, it's not only related to your tool, to technology. It's really related about organization, about data and opportunities. Let me just share with you some more topics and also some examples for all of these points. The first is your organization, and Arjen spoiled a little my introduction, but that's not a surprise. Your organization has to adapt to meet and overcome the challenges. All the teams, digital teams, sales teams, other teams, must work together before the implementation and after. You will see later on, we have a very good example. And it's very important, and if you remember the gear wheel, everyone must, all departments must be involved in the digital transformation process. It's about organization, it's about training. You have new tools, you have new processes for payment, for whatever, for data. You need to train your sales team, you need to train your people. And we can say from our experience, it's something that is sometimes underestimated by all of our customers. Another thing is you should not hesitate when you are deploying an e-commerce solution, a digital platform, to disrupt your organization. Let me give you just a very obvious example. You know what is a marketplace? Maybe some of you are marketplace operators. There's a new job appearing with marketplace operators. It's vendor onboarding. It's new organization to help your vendor onboard on a marketplace. As a parallel, basically, you can have, and we have some customers that have customer onboarding team. It's a new role, a new way of working. You are here to help your people use your digital tools, your portals, to answer your inquiries. And in addition to that, it's really important to welcome additional profiles in your digital team. We said sales, we say digital teams, okay, but let's think about financial accounting team. We'll see later why, but it's very important. And it's also adding new way of thinking and new data to be able to increase your customer experience. Let me first share you a customer feedback. So it's a French, it's Paredes, the French leader in professional hygiene and safety products. So Paredes has decided to move to a B2B platform. And I want just to share some of their feedbacks. What is really important first is that all their business teams have validated the scope and the features before they were implemented. It means that, okay, you have a certain number of stakeholders from all across the company that say, okay, we are going for a digital platform. We will, okay, go for all these features as an MVP and later on. So you have not only a digital team saying, okay, we need these features. No, it's company decision. Another approach, and this is I like this approach, is that the B2B platform, the first pilots were the employees, not a pilot customers. But the platform was open to employees so that they can use it and, by the way, be trained on the platform. And now every salesperson is an ambassador of the digital platform in the company because they all used it. They used it for their personal use. They get trained. They know how to talk about it. They know how to help their customer onboard on the platform. And now they are really considered as ambassador of the digital platform. And the last thing is that The new department that has been created is called Digital Transformation and Customer Service, which means everything. It's a whole. You don't have digital transformation or digital commerce and customer service. It's all because everything is linked from Paradise point of view. I can share another feedback on this topic of organization. Dixon is a world leader in technical textiles for home, for industry, for both. They have different types of customers, like designers, architects, and their main pillars are innovation and customer satisfaction. So they say, okay, innovation, let's propose a digital platform. But they are also very focused on customer satisfaction. And when they wanted to roll out the digital platform, they also create a new organization so that all tenants, what they call tenants of their organization, like sales, product managers, marketing, are all involved in the digital process. But there are two things very interesting in this digital process, is that they really have an eye and a strong focus on keeping the same relationship quality with their customers. It's not because your customer is using a tool to see where is its order that you don't need to talk to the customer and to get a relationship with more value-added task, of course, but it's very important from their side. They really had the focus on that. And they also had an eye and they really work to provide the same reactivity to the customer inquiries, whatever the channel. It means that if a customer is requesting a quote, for instance, through the digital platform or through email or by a call, you need to have the same reactivity because it's their DNA. And if I can share some example of that, is that 1/3 of customers created an account on the digital platform within the first year. And they can see a 90% loyalty on all registered customers on the use of the platform, which means at what time their challenge of this new organization is a success. I've talked about organization. If you remember, second point is about data. You know, and all of you know that digital portals, digital tools require data and accurate data. Let's remember what we talked on the last session about recommendation. Recommendation needs data, of course. So you can use product data, but you can use other type of data. So which means that you need to have the proper data on all your touch points, the right information at the right place. It's about tools. So you have a lot of acronyms, sorry about that, but it's a fact. Product information management, master data management, customer data platform, CRMs, and now we are talking about customer marketing platform. It's a new one I just learned. Everything that, okay, you need a tool to that. And once again, you need organization. The new positions, data managers, data stewards. All these people need to be also trained, and you need also to define the most accurate process to validate your data from its creation to its publication, what we call the product lifecycle, the data lifecycle or the data workflow. It's a whole. If you have the tool, not the people, and not the process, it won't work. So you need to work on these three to ensure that all your data is relevant everywhere you need it. And once again, don't hesitate to challenge what's existing. You can rethink the way you manage data. If you remember what Arjun showed about silos, there's no more silo. The use of a PIM or MDM is to break this silo and to have your data in a single point. So you need to rethink it. And it's not only about product data, you can do the same for customer data. And since you have new data, you can have new KPIs. You can create new KPI, new indicators based on this data. Let me just illustrate that with another customer. I don't know if you know Aliaxis. Aliaxis is a leader in what they call fluid management. They are doing pipes for infrastructure, industry, pipelines. So they are currently rethinking their digital platform at EMEA level. But in addition. First, they are thinking, and they have started this say some years ago. They wanted to secure their product data. They are deploying an MDM solution to ensure that everything that comes out of the factory is correctly detailed in terms of technical data. And this is a huge work because they have a lot of factories all across Europe. So they have the first level. The second level is about content data, like marketing data, description, pictures on every channel. So now they are deploying a PIM. And they are also thinking about data, but something very specific. First time I heard about that, they have launched a project to review the way they use analytics, Google Analytics data. They want to get rid of the limitation. I don't know if you're aware that there's a 14 months limit in the use of history, in the history of Google Analytics. It's not enough for them. They want to be able to do it on 2 years. So they are currently rethinking on a way to store in their data lake all their Google Analytics and be able to expose it and cross it all across their organization or their tools. And there's a new tool, there's a new digital organization also that has been created and that is currently deploying to first, of course, take the lead on this project and also share their experience on best practice all across their base. It's like all countries in Europe. So it's very interesting because you have almost data, organization, and a totally disruption in a way to process certain data. My last point is about opportunities. Basically, you should use the implementation of any tool as an opportunity to challenge your process or organization so that you can improve them for your customer. And by tools, I'm not talking only on e-commerce platform, but I'm talking about payment options, new payment methods, everything linked to recommendation, search, AI, all these CRM, CDPs platforms, even customer service apps like Zendesk or Gorgias. They are all opportunities to improve because any innovation, any new tool can bring you something. And I just want to finish on these two examples. The one is Optic Doming. Optic Doming is a leading network of optical stores in France. So they have website, a transactional website, and they launched recently two new features. The one is what they call in-store booking. It's like a click and collect. You just book your pair of glasses or sunglasses, and then in a store, and then you are going to buy them on the store. It's a web to store. So it's a new indicator. They now can follow the web to store transformation. How many traffic they get in store from the web. Is there a specific AOV on that? Is there more recurrent customers? And also, from the customer point of view, from their customer data, they can add something called reliability. Because when you book something, if you are not collecting the item, there's a no-show. And then they are able to add a new level, which is the customer reliability based on a no-show rate. And we hope for them it's the lowest as possible. But it's a new indicator. And the second innovation is virtual try-on. Like, online with your camera, you can virtually test an eyewear, a pair of glasses or sunglasses. What is important is from that, they are now able to measure the impact on this tool on conversion rate and also on return rate. Because if you virtually try, we expect that it fits and then you won't send the glasses back. But also they are now able to enhance their customer profiling because they know which type of customers, which profile is using the tool, and then they can push during the customer journey the use of this tool to similar profiles. So this is a way to increase your data, not only transactional data, but a lot of new data to improve your customer journey for your future customers and prospects. And the last point is an example, is a concrete example from one partner, which is called Purse, which is, I don't know if you know, it's a SaaS or cost question solution for payment. Therefore, it's connected to 80 payment providers. Basically, their original usage is to manage the fallbacks in case of an issue of a payment provider during high-speed traffic, high traffic periods, Black Friday, and so on. But from that, using this solution brings you a lot of new indicators of the performance of each PSP. And each type of cards, each method of payment per PSP. So first, with adding this platform, you can use all these indicators to challenge your existing PSPs, but also to start creating customized checkouts, because you have the data, you know which perform most, and then you are able to define your checkouts based upon the customer profile, the device is using, the goods is playing, and then propose him the payment solution that will convert most. So it's also another example of which type of KPI you can bring from a new solution you want to put on your website. And as we see later, we have some more example, and maybe I can switch directly to the next point, because if you don't mind, Gilles, I will just continue.
Yeah, sure. I'm also, I think it's very interesting presentation. And also looking at the time, maybe you can go through the case a bit fast, but then we're very happy to hear it.
we were supposed to have our customer talking to you, but unfortunately he was not able to be here, so I will take it for him. Au Forum du Bâtiment is a leading B2B distributor of tooling, heating, electrical, plumbing supplies. They have around 100 agencies, and they are mostly doing click and collect through the online. You just buy online, and then you retire, just pick up what you have just bought. And AFDB has been one of the first company to integrate ThinkTexture into its offer. So you will have a presentation about ThinkTexture. It's not the topic. The topic is how did they come to introduce ThinkTexture in their offer, and what were the changes. It's another in-depth example of adding a new method of payment. First, we asked the customer, we asked au Forum du Bâtiment, okay, why did you choose to add this new payment method? Something new, your B2B, what was the thinking? Basically, the thinking it's a global thinking. They were taking a lot of reflections about their digital strategy. And basically, they have 3 points. They would like to propose something innovative, reliable, and secure to their customer, because their customers, they want to order, pick up, and then they go to their work to install what they just bought, what they just buy. So they really need to have something reliable. They also want to comply with the new regulations. I don't know if you are familiar with DSP2, DSP3, but you have regulations, and they want, as a B2B, they also wanted to comply with these regulations. And the platform also, they had some sales priorities. The option was first migrated to B2C because it was a current migration, but then it was moved to the B2B. And why? Because it offers added value to their B2B customers by allowing them to pay online, but also to pay their invoice directly at any time. So it's added value. Of course, they have a new option in the cart, in the payment, but they have also a new feature they can offer their customers directly from their account. We talked previously about organization. So we asked what were the organizational impacts by rolling out this new payment method. As I said, and this is a very concrete example, they have to train their team to the new procedures. First, to understand the payment, the process, the new process payment. It's different from wire transfer or for credit card. So everyone has to understand the process. And also, in all their accounting, credit controls, financial processes, they have to integrate it in terms of reporting, in terms of credit management. They have to work and define the new organization and train, of course, people, because now they can have data from another system or so on. And also, they have, from a security point of view, they have to adapt their measures so that they can comply to the regulations, which means they're really focused on data management, payment process. They have to adapt their internal controls. And their conclusion is, don't underestimate the learning curve of deploying a new tool, because you see, you have to train people. It may take time. You will have to adapt your organization, and you have also sometimes to adapt other things, like in this case, like security measures, because you need to do it. And the last point is really, okay, you have a new tool. What's about monitoring the performance? And with this new tool, they have been able to define new KPIs. So they defined it, and now they monitor these KPIs. They what they call the checkout friction, so they can see if there's an impact by using a new payment method that is not that is easier than credit card, for instance. Do they see that on their platform? Is there any impact by converting visitors to customers by having a new way of payment? And they have also some KPIs about security, which mean, okay, are we still in compliance with all the regulations? So this is what they have added to their basic e-commerce, I would say, KPIs. Now they have added new KPIs that will allow them to monitor the performance of the new payment, and potentially to be a little more agile in their checkout, to propose by customer groups, customer profiling, this kind also of payment methods. And if I may quote what our customer said, is that with this platform, with this new tool, they have improved their customer experience, but they also have strengthened their position because they're showed as innovative, which may be a competitive advantage towards other competitors that don't have this type of payment and are still relying on, I don't know, credit cards or any other payment options. And I'm done with that example.
Well, thanks a lot, Cyril. I think it was very interesting how you think of the holistic ways of working within data solution, and also how you helped our forum the bottom line. So for the moment, there are no questions. So I think you all explained it very clearly. But whenever there are any questions, you can post them in the chat, and then we'll make sure to answer them afterwards. And with that, I also want to give the floor to Hugo and Sophie from the French payment institution Fintecture, who will shed light on how they improve their business performance by enhancing bank transfers. So I want to give the floor to you now.
I was just introducing Fintecture, as you were saying, that we are French-based fintech, and let me put it this way: it's in a very simple way, we are a PSP specialized in bank transfer. So we are really reinventing the way we are processing bank transfer to help you boost your business. And as we have been aware of, because of the previous presentation, of all the challenges you have when you are leading an e-commerce or marketplace strategy within your company. Of course, we think that payment should also have a central role in this strategy, because it's not only the final outcome of a transaction, the payment in itself, but it's in the middle of a value chain for the company, which actually very close to customer satisfaction, to your operation in itself. Like you need to have the confirmation of your payment to start preparing the order, or to proceed with the delivery. So it has a huge impact. The payment in itself has a huge impact on your operation in itself. And what we believe at Fintecture is not only the payments have this central role in the value chain, but also that the current payment methods have limitations. And these limitations are ever stronger in B2B, because what we call payment method, and the cards, checks, and bank transfer are obviously the most common payment method you probably use with your customers. When you have a B2C only approach, of course, cards are the most common payment methods, but cards have sailings. You also have decline rates, and these decline rates average 15 or 10%. Most of them, the decline rates are based on the low card limits. So of course, you cannot address large purchasing. And it's even stronger when you are in B2B, where average baskets are higher. So of course, cards, and especially the cost on cards for professionals, are higher as well. So it has double impact on your performance when you are betting only on cards to proceed with your payments. What are the fallback options when you cannot optimize your conversion rate with cards? You only have two options so far. It's checks. I think we all want to avoid checks, even though I know in the US it's still largely used for B2B, but obviously in Europe it's less and less the case. And of course, it has a huge impact on your operation then, and not to mention fraud. But bank transfer, traditional bank transfer, is obviously the most common payment methods for B2B, but it also have limitations the way we are traditionally processing it. And all these limitations have obviously an impact on your conversion. So it's a loss of revenues if you don't address this matter. And if you don't have integrated payments method in your checkout, so on your e-commerce checkout, that means that, and I know many B2B websites have this process in place, like you need to have a non-integrated e-commerce flow in parallel of what you have on your websites, meaning like the website is only to a product catalog where you can still digitalize some different services, such as the onboarding. We were talking about the onboarding and the customer knowledge and data we can gather through the onboarding process. You can also, of course, perform the order, but then the payments cannot be done necessarily on the website. And so it's done, especially in B2B, in parallel through a more traditional order to pay process through via an invoice, or even negotiation with payment delay and this kind of stuff can be done in parallel of the e-commerce. So my point here is to demonstrate that you can actually centralize all this action onto your websites if you leverage the right payment methods. Maybe why have we put our effort on bank transfer? Not only to mention that it's the most and powerful payment solution used in B2B, but it's also because we have the technology. We can actually transform the way we are performing bank transfer, and this technology in Europe is based on the regulation context. Maybe you've heard about PSD1 and PSD2, which are European regulations putting in place what we call open banking. And they are, and this regulation in Europe have authorized new payment institutions such as FinTech to operate. So if we are regulated as banks or other payment provider are, but it was not the case a few years ago. So it was the end of the bank monopoly, I would say, in payments. So creating a more innovative framework within Europe to help new players coming on this ground. And we are now entering into a new phase into regulation in Europe towards PSD3 that would basically go a little bit beyond the first stage of what we call open banking in Europe, and being more precise now in the regulation on how bank APIs should work in details and so on. I would not go into detail of regulation. Of course, if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer what I know because it's changing all the time. But just keep in mind that this is the sense of history right now. Europe is strongly involved in changing the way payments are ruled within the European Union. What we call open banking as well, it's actually two different features. It's PIS and IIS, which means that PIS, it's payment initiation services. It's the way we are operating a bank transfer from a bank account A to a bank account B. So it's basically leveraging bank API to automate a bank transfer where all information are integrated into these API calls. So you don't have to, the technology, I mean, is bringing all the information related to the transaction. And what we call AIS, it's Account Information Services. It's the second brick of open banking. It's also through API to connect to a bank account on behalf of the bank holder to access to his information about this bank account. So we can access through this API to the balance of his bank account, but also to all related information coming from his bank account. So the IBAN, but also all KYC information that were originally used when this person opened the bank account. This is actually very powerful as way to perform KYC and fraud checks. Basically, Fintecture is leveraging these two bricks technology to have strong products and strong payment products. And this is what we're gonna share with you through different use cases we have with customers. This is not only performing a bank transfer, but and using open banking. That would be kind of restrictive because the technology in itself doesn't bring you the added value we were talking about when improving your operations and making sure you are improving your conversion rates. To make sure that you have a high conversion rate, it means that still you need to perform this open banking transfer, but then you need to build different functionalities, different business functionalities that would help you really to convert the order. And
Sophie, to quickly interrupt you, sorry, I was for this, but we're burning a bit out of time as well, so I hope maybe you can do the rest of the presentation a bit.
Yeah, we can. So just to be quick, we have these three products. We're going to go very quickly through them to highlight what I've just said. So we have built 3 bank transfer products that actually can address all the different use cases you have in B2B commerce. And yeah, you can go.
I can go. So just to finish quickly, the video is a quick one, I promise. We thought for you guys to better understand how we impact customer journey, it would be actually efficient to show you what the customer journey through Fintecture looks like when it comes to payments. So in here, we start from a website e-commerce checkout. In here, the client chooses to pay using a Fintecture transfer. He's then redirected to Fintecture screens, which is called the Connect, where he just has to choose its bank. He's then automatically redirected to his secure online banking space, where he will use his usual ID and password to get in. And then there is a page that opens where he has the opportunity to review all the info regarding the transfer, such as the amount, the beneficiary, the reference, etc. And the last step is just to confirm this transfer before being redirected on the merchant's website and see the confirmation page back on the website. As you've seen, at no point the customer did need to enter an IBAN, an amount, or reference. All this info is directly embedded in the payment through Fintecture, which allows for a very powerful payments and even flowing journey, even more than a card payment, but without the limitation we mentioned. On the merchant side, he will receive an instant confirmation, allowing him to start processing the order immediately, which wouldn't be possible otherwise with a traditional transfer, as most of the time there's 2 to 3 days delay that just prevents the merchants from starting to process the orders. We have integrated this product with one of our clients, Bricoman. It's an interesting use case because we had an impact on their online customer experience as well as their in-store customer experience. For context, it's a French chain of hardware stores with 40 physical stores all across the country. Most of their revenues come from professionals, even though they are open also to individuals. They had 3 main problems. This need I mentioned for instant confirmation to be able to start processing and fulfill their promise of same-day delivery. As you know, construction is a very fast-moving industry. But the problem was that amounts were often too high for credit card sellings, leading to a lot of declined payments. And last but not least, they needed a solution that could be implemented in store as well as online. After a few weeks of integration and testing, the immediate transfer was live online and in store, and the customer started using it. And most importantly, most customers using it the first time did so on the second time they purchased, whether it was online or in store. The results online were actually obvious. We allowed Bricoman to generate more revenues, as almost half of our payments fall back from declined cards, and those sales would just have been lost otherwise if there was no fallback option for the customer. And we also allowed them to significantly increase their average basket, as you can see on with the few KPIs mentioned in here. I mentioned that we equipped them online. Those results are mainly from the website performances, but we also equipped their vendors in store with all the training necessary and the organizational processes that Arjun and Cyril mentioned before. And it allowed for a whole new customer journey because they are able now to pay directly on shelves, skipping the checkout at the cashier step. And we thought it was a great example of how new organization, especially in store, can allow for new customer experience just based on using a new technology and a new payment solution from the merchant's side. Could you tell me, Jill, how much time left do I have so I can select the info that I will kill in the last few minutes?
So about 3 minutes, is that so?
That's great. I didn't expect more than more. Thank you, Jill. So as you've seen on the customer journey and the results, the immediate transfer is a great product, but it does have a few limits in terms of usage, especially when a customer doesn't have access to his bank account. So to optimize conversion, we had to complete the immediate transfer with another product, which is called Smart Transfer. And our objective is double. First, it's to keep the benefits of the immediate transfer for the merchants, such as fully automated reconciliation and the possibility to track in real time all the bank transfer coming. But all of this without changing not changing a bit the customer's habits when it comes to paying via bank transfers. We integrated this product with our clients, Alcoba. For context, it's a used car auctioneer. It's the market leader online, but they also have one physical auction room in the north of France. As cars are often worth thousands of dollars, bank transfers or euros, bank transfers have always been the predominant payment method in the industry, but they do come with a few limitations that we mentioned, which is why Alcoba asked for our help to reinvent their organization and better serve their clients. They receive 350 to 500 transfer per day. That's not a mistake. That's $500 per day. So their finance and accountability team were under immense pressure to manually identify each of these transfer and their payers, as this identification is required before delivering the vehicle to the customer. But with hundreds of transfer received each day, this identification can take up to a few days, requiring the customer to stay close to the auction room when they are on the physical site, and they just sometimes don't anticipate to stay for 2 or 3 days when the auction is just half day long, and the room is located in Roubaix. It's not really a city you want to spend more time than you planned on when you arrive. So the choice was made to integrate our smart transfer solution directly into their operational tools and processes. As you see in here, what we do is we generate a custom IBAN for each new client that is directly displayed on the invoice, and this invoice is then either sent via email or hand delivered. Doesn't change anything. And then the customer on his side will just enter the IBAN and make the transfer from his bank like he is used to. As I've said, on his side, nothing changes. The only difference is that because of this solution, Alcoba is now able to identify the transfer and the customer on the same day, allowing the customer to leave with its vehicle much quicker than before, most of the time on the same day instead of having to wait for a few days. Another impact that Alcopa wasn't really expecting is that they have now eight times more instant payments. As customers have the option to leave on the same day, they make an instant transfer 40% of the time against 5% of the time before integrating fintech. What we really need to remember from this case is that we were able to enhance customer journey just by improving organizational efficiency. The customer journey didn't really change from the payment aspect on the customer side, but what changed is on the organizational efficiency, allowing them to identify immediately instead of waiting for a few days for the manual reconciliation. And this is a great example of how a new tool, organizational tool, can have a lot of benefits on the customer journey as a whole and customer experience. And last but not least, our latest product is the buy now, pay later to the B2B context. I'm sure it's an acronym you've came across quite a few times in the last years, but we just adapted the usage to B2B context. We are able to do so thanks to our collaboration with Allianz Trade, which is the worldwide leader in credit insurance, and our open banking technology that Sophie mentioned before. Those payment delays are combining those two expertise, we're able to offer 30-day deferred payment and test the eligibility in real time at no extra cost for the customers. So once again, an example of how a new tool can reinvent customer journey for all the retailers. Those payment delays are quite common in B2B, but they usually result from a lot of manual work, manual processes, with the merchant deciding whether or not he can offer a credit term and having to recontact the said clients on the payment deadline. With our solution, we are able to automate all this manual work, completely automating credit management and payment collection. But most importantly, we allow the merchant to secure his cash flow because there is an insurance embedded directly in the payment, covering the merchant in case of a default from his customer. If we go back to Bricoman's example, they have thousands of small professional payers, and they obviously couldn't take the time to evaluate the financial stability and financial health of each of their clients to offer or not deferred payments. By integrating this solution, they could automatically do and offer this payment solution and payment delay to their customer without running the risk of a default payment. So just to sum up a few KPIs that could be impacted by we've got a few KPIs the retailers need to follow and improve, which can be done with a combination of new tools such as payment tools, as well as organizational changes that we have mentioned all along, because those new tools, once they're integrated, we do need the training of the teams to optimize its usage. And once optimally used, I would say, we can see some very interesting increases in business performance, such as a rise in conversion. As I've mentioned, almost half of our payments are declined cards that we just recover, so we generate new revenues for our merchants. The average basket also increases because when clients don't have to worry about payment ceilings or limits, they tend to spend more. At least that's what we believe and what we witness with our clients. And lastly, it's a very important KPI to follow, especially in B2B, is recurring buyers. Recurring buyers are really key today if you want to stay in business. As we witnessed, we will reach half of our payers that have used FinTech more than once, whether it's through the same merchant or cross merchants, if I could say it like that. That was it on our side. Sorry, I had to speed it up a little bit. If you guys have any question, we'll be happy to answer them right now, or to speak further with you if you contact us to this address. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Hugo, for your presentation. And also regarding the time, I'm quickly going to go to our next speaker, which is Atul, who is the founder of the digital commerce agency Neortis, and he will tell us a bit more about the project they've done at Neortis and all the projects and how they go to work. So also regarding the time, Atul, maybe I can ask you if you can do it in about 5 minutes. It's very quickly, but otherwise we'll be running over time, big time. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. I have to choose my battles, but if I can speak in 5 minutes, I can give the essence of my presentation. So let me say, my name is Atul, founder of Neotus. Can you please move the slides, or
You can take control
it's not working?
in the left top of the screen.
Yeah, somehow.
But otherwise, I can click through your slides if that's okay.
Yeah. So please, next slide, please. Can you go to the next slide, please? Neotus, just in the essence, we are the boutique agency. Why we call ourselves boutique agency? Because we are specialists in a digital commerce. We are really passionate about only this topic. That's really make us unique, because then we can move fast with our customers, and also, let's say, we understand that each customer is unique and they have a unique need. So we are also personalized toward the customer services. And what drives us is really to propel speed and agility in, let's say, in a digital commerce ambitions of our customers. We make a common meaning or common interpretation on the speed and agility, and then drive those for our customers. But important is how we do it. That is where we have our own unique way of working. We call Neo Space model. So please, next slide, please. Click. Yeah. In this new space model, we have a 3 important pillar, like approach, people, and technology. All these 3 pillars is having a 5 important elements, which acronym is space. So you read it like in an approach, we will go in detail, because that is the important part for today, where we are going to talk about like how B2B brands can become a growth partner. And that is all about the approach, bring the different departments of the organization. So this whole new space or model helps to get there. Next slide, please. These are our services, but I will leave it for now. It's around all the digital commerce. We are end-to-end digital commerce agency. What I want to talk about, like, as a B2B brand, how can you become a growth partner for your customers? What we see that products are becoming more complex, and so the offering from the B2B brands is also extending beyond the only product. It's becoming toward the solution, and then the solutions that can empower their customers, not only in the operational efficiency, but also in the growth of their business. Let's say B2B brands are having more complex customer portfolio. It's really start from the enterprise companies to the more small freelancers, and they need a different kind of help. As a B2B brand, more you help your customer, of course, you will get a more customer loyalty, but also you can get a lot of customer data, customer insight on which you can leverage. So more and more interaction between the brands and customers are happening through the digital touch points. What we see that digital platforms is also extending beyond just on the e-commerce side, but they are going on a more non-traditional journeys. Give you the example. Next slide, please. If you see the typical journey, somehow the slide is distorted, is like it's really from the discovery to the choose, order, manage. And in the blue, you see in a traditional e-commerce journey, you have a search browse, then you have a catalog, then you go to the cart, then ordering, and then account management. But what B2B brands who are trying to, let's say, partner with their customers, they are going further than these traditional journey. They are also giving them tool for demand planning. They are also giving them tool to, let's say, for credit check. They are giving that tool for how to, let's say, manage the performance. What we observe, that is in the top right corner, you see more in the manage and in the services part, there are opportunity to become a partner of your customers. That is where we are seeing many custom tools and supporting solutions are developed. I want to talk about the one industry case that we did for B2B food retail. And next slide, please. Where what this Dutch B2B food wholesaler was struggling with, they were getting a let's say a feedback from the customer. There was a customer challenge because they were focusing on the HoReCa in restaurants, and their restaurants owners were struggling with the planning and ordering of the special occasions, special parties, special events. For those occasions, even their cooks were not sure what kind of recipes should be there, what kind of interior decoration should they do. And what was happening at the end of the event, they were seeing a lot of wastage. From this B2B wholesaler point of view, they were having a difficulty in planning those deliveries, because the orders were coming in a fragmented, because customer itself was not organized on the event. Then they were seeing the high number of returns, and eventually, of course, low customer satisfaction. So with this customer, what we worked on is the solution. We called it menu calculator. This solution had a place for inspirational content, how the decoration should look like, how the themes of the party should look like, what could be the possible recipes, and then help them to choose or menu planner based on the recipe, but also based on the number of guests. Once they can configure and plan that, so then they know bit of the cost calculation about how that party should look like and what is the cost behind it. Accordingly, they can really give the quotation to the customers, but also can place the order based on that whole configuration. So this kind of solution helping the restaurant owners was really not the typical e-commerce journey you see. Rather than it's really partnering with the customer to solve their operational efficiency, but also helping, let's say, in their growth. So what we see, next slide, please. That to realize these things, to become a partner of that, I think it starts with identifying the customer challenges. And the previous slide, please. Sorry, yeah. So identifying the customer challenges start with the roles, departments which are facing the customer. So in this case, it was customer services and account teams. They identified the pattern of challenges, they identify, and then for this customer, they used to have a quarterly concept creation meeting where they used to bring all different departments, IT, digital team, marketing, account, customer services, come together to discuss the customer challenges, but also creating the concept. In this case, it was a menu calculator. Then they also early on onboarded few customers who are willing to invest time, who is willing to test on the beta version. So it's also making the partnership with the customer to see whether it's really going to solve the problem or not. And then once this concept was created, built, then we roll out that whole feature, this module, and with a clear KPIs. So KPIs were, in this case, order size, because to check whether the orders are still fragmented or not, but also return rate. And we saw the impact of that. The important part is all this is starting point. The important was how you are keeping up with the continuous improvement. How are you following up on that? So the continuous measurement was required. And that is where, again, connecting back to the NEOTUS model, we call it a NEO approach. So the next slide, please, where we keep the customer success in the center, customer experience in the center. And then we say, hey, together with all departments, define the purpose and the strategy, ideate, experiment, measure, deploy, or ditch. So it's more fail fast approach. That is what we work and partner with our customer and encourage them to do with their customer. So always thinking about the customer of the customer of the customer. I hope I did in 5 minutes. That's all from my side. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Atul. I think it was very interesting to hear. And next up, we're going to make it even more practical with Tanya from Reum, who are going to tell us more about how they created a customer-centric portal within Reum and also how they used a holistic approach for that. So Tanya, if I could also ask you to do it in 5 minutes, that would be perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, welcome also from my side, and thank you for joining. I'd like to take you through our journey so far at Reum, how we have created a customer-centric customer portal in the next 5 minutes. So we are Reum. We are a German chemical company that produces, we manufacture methacrylates. And we focus on several growth markets. And I'll focus just on perhaps the automobile, where you probably know the brand Plexiglass. And that's probably what a lot of people associate with the company Room. We are a global company. So you can see also here that we have 3,500 employees and we have sales in 100 countries. So I'll just simply focus now in the next few minutes on what steps we've taken here to get to the point of creating a customer portal, or Room Connect as we're calling it. We're basing it on the launch of S4. So that's our main source of data, will be coming from S4, in addition to also Transporion, which is a platform that we're using to support us also with customer order tracking and estimated time of arrival. So I would just focus primarily then on how we're putting the customer into the middle of the work that we're doing. The first area, which is actually where the idea was born for both tracking of orders, is our NPS surveys, where of course we're focusing and we're asking open-ended questions, and to also learn more how we can have our detractors all become promoters. We've also integrated Amazon's backward thinking approach. This was really once we had the feedback from our customers that they would like a portal, then we worked with Amazon and conducted this workshop, which basically focuses on a press release where you understand, you visualize the impact that it has on the customers. So understanding what are really the moments of joy, moments of delight that can be added from the customer. And then you actually work backwards to outline all the various requirements that you would need in order to make that happen. So it's really starting with the customer, and that's how we really began our journey. And you can see how the visualization also shows how the impact on the buyer's job that he has, or a customer's buyer, and how he's able to support the various different stakeholders within his company, whether it's production plant or management. We basically took that feedback where we had the user requirements and started to really build out all of our business requirements, both functional and non-functional at this point, and really focus then on the viability and how critical each of these requirements are, because our approach is that we're creating really an MVP with Intershop. So that's really what we took as a next step there. Then we went back to our customers again. And again, started to get more feedback from our NPS. So we asked for customer feedback. What are the most important tools that you need to have? One of the areas as well that was previously mentioned was also a tool to support with the volume history. So supporting the customer with supporting their forecasting activities. And we also needed the feedback from a change management perspective. So what's their level of comfort with this type of digital channel? And also, how does their ERP system play a role? And what do we need to watch out so that the customer is not doing work twice? Personas play a key role. And here I would just like to, I'm sure that a lot of you are using customer personas and customer journeys. I think important on this note is just to simply say that these are living documents, and it's important to bring it closer to each team member and to each different business unit, so they're aware of this style of working. In terms of also our setup at Room, in terms of customer centricity, we also have a work stream which focuses on customer centricity, on conducting interviews with our customers and working out the additional features, the tools that they need. And we also have the customer advisory board, where we also ask for continuous feedback from our customers, and they support us. In addition to that, the portal manager will be in the role that supports the operational business from the customer, and the product owner is really the person that will make sure that our vision within the company comes to life. And their role then is to really also add any new features or tools to also do the ROI calculation for us, to understand what impact it has for us as a company. And this would be an example of a formula that you could also use and in order to calculate the benefits that it would bring to you and your customers. We as well have spent a great deal of our time in the project focusing on change management, and to support us with that, we also had Intershop help us create a demo portal, and there we've basically conducted workshops ongoing, I would say, to get that feedback also from our internal users. So it's kind of an internal soft launch that we have with the company, and that also drives the acceptance of the tool within the sales, customer service teams, and other business units. Yeah, so where are we headed now? So as we continue, the next step for us is to look under the hood to make sure we have processes that will support our customer procurement portal, to make sure that they're capable to promise, that really the experience for the customer is seamless. So that will be a focus on our own internal processes, and also design thinking now to really put ourselves into the customer's shoes, and to start focusing on really innovative solutions that will really separate Röhm from the competition as well. So yeah, our go live is planned in March of 2024, and we're very excited. And I hope that I was able to give you some insights and tools that you can also take with you on your customer journeys, to really put the focus on your customers as well. Thank you. Over to you, Jill.
Thank you so much, Tanja. I think it was very interesting to hear how you took on the approach within Röhm, and I think if people have a lot of questions or have any questions, they can ask them in the chat, and we will make sure to answer them, because I could assume there are some to hear about your interesting story. And I think that holds for all of the guest speakers. They've really shown us today how they took on the holistic way of working within their company, and I think they all showed the importance of data within that process. I think that really paves the way nicely for our last speaker, which is Mario from Intershop, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the aspect of data within the holistic ways of working. So over to you, Mario.
Thank you, Jill, and I also try to be quick. So my name is Mario Vesper. I'm Director of Product Management at Intershop. And yeah, in the past talks, we have learned how to approach the holistic way of working. And I would like to step into a few use cases, how to integrate this data to improve the user experience. Just a few use cases, just very high level, so that you get an understanding how this can be leveraged. And of course, we have learned that data is key. So it's priority one for a holistic customer view, because that's what we can leverage across the different channels. So we have different types of data. So the first category is internal data, which is basically, let's say, local data generated in the shop. The second part of the data is integrated data. So that's data which is, for example, available in the ERP system, in the CRM system, in the PIM system, and so on. They need to be integrated into the shop so that they can be leveraged. And the third category is third-party data, mainly available via services. And just would like to give you a quick understanding how those types of data can be integrated. And I would like to do this based on our commerce platform. So at the top here, you see the touch points, or basically the dashed line shows the Intershop commerce platform. At the top, you see the touch points, for example, the shop front end. Below, you have an API mediation, because the front end talks to the e-commerce capabilities like customer management, like order data and promotions and price lists and so on. So all the key commerce capabilities are below. Next to that, you can implement third-party services. You can integrate them. We'll come to that later as well. And usually you have a low-code integration layer to integrate your system landscape, like ERP systems, PIM, and so on. And these are the data sources, so the data you have in company. And I would just quickly show just one use case per category. So I will strip it down a bit, how you can leverage shop-generated data. I think this was mentioned already in the first session, but here it's a bit more visual. So for example, you see the touchpoint Intershop PWA in this case is the front end generates data which can be a search behavior. So the goal is to improve the search results for the customer by using the search behavior. So the customer, for example, searches for something in B2C, maybe for something he has docs, And then you can collect this data, you can work with this data, enrich this data, and reuse it, for example, in our search and recommendation engine. And then you can rank accessories for dogs higher than, for example, for cats. In B2B, if the customer searches for a specific machine, you can rank spare parts higher. You can rank other products which are in the same category higher because he's more interested in that area. Maybe to the next category, integrated data. Let's go with this example. I think there is, okay. For example, you have, like we learned earlier for AFDB or Forum du Bâtiment, they have local shops. They have orders there, and they have them integrated in the ERP. They are so if someone purchases in a local store, the data is here down below in the ERP, and you might want to have them available in the e-commerce system as well. And maybe if he frequently buys something in the shop, you might already pre-fill the shopping cart for him, because maybe on a regular basis he needs consumables like oil for a machine, or fuel, or maybe paper, because that's parts which are frequently used, and you can leverage that and in your commerce capabilities and pre-fill the shopping cart, which will then be presented in via the touch point. So that's something where you can integrate external data to improve the user experience. Last but not least, the third category is third-party data, because you do not have all the knowledge you need. For example, we had the example with the credit card check before, which can be leveraged, for example. But for example, this one is another example. You can also do address checks. Integrating an address check service helps you to determine the right address, or helps the customer to determine the right address. Maybe there are some typos which are done, and then there is a check behind. And this can be leveraged by directly integrating this one in the shop front end, and maybe even no integration in the other systems are required in this case. So that should give you a quick understanding how you can leverage these three types of data, how you can leverage that in your e-commerce platform. And of course, if you have a understanding how the platform can look like, there are lots of improvements imaginable, how you can improve or how you can integrate data to improve the user experience. And that means at the end, key takeaways, you need to use different data sources to boost the user experience, to speed up purchasing. You can prevent fraud with that. But of course, you need a data strategy. You need to be certain where the data is located, which systems are in the lead for which type of data. And since you have seen in the examples, you can also improve the customer journey step by step. So you can start with one use case, you can finalize this one, and then you can go over to the next one. And so the question would be, which data would you like to leverage next? Or maybe ask differently, what are your KPIs, what are your objectives to improve the user experience, and which data do you need? And that's it from my side. Back to Jill.
Thank you so much, Mario. And I think that also brings us to the wrap up of today's session, where I quickly want to ask you, Arjen, to give your insight of what we heard today during the session.
Well, I guess Mario gave a perfect example of that 30% that actually data and technology represents, and all the other stories showed what you need to do in the organization. So this was a very full session with information. I hope you enjoyed it, and that you can see that technology is not going to hamper you in building these individual customer experiences, that it is the organization and your own passion to drive your organization forward, as we saw in the story of Rome, that is going to enable you to really make the changes that technology offers. So this was a very packed session, but I hope you liked it, and I hope you got inspired by the examples. Jill, maybe you can tell us about the next session.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more. It was a great session with a lot of interesting stories, and thanks again to all the guest speakers for sharing their stories and everyone for attending the session. That's why I also want to invite you to our next session, which is on December 7th, and will be about the opportunities that new technologies in B2B e-commerce offer. And I think we'll have some a very interesting lineup for that session as well. And I really want to thank you today for being here, and I hope to see you at the next one.